Hey everybody, today I'm going to talk to you about a speaker that I'm excited to share information with you about. I've been putting this one off for quite a while because we couldn't get the tweeters made fast enough, and with the whole COVID thing and trying to get raw materials and just trying to have stuff made has been really difficult. And we finally got a bunch of these tweeters in. We've been air freighting them in, and we've been shipping tons of NX series orders out the door. And we're finally caught up and finally to a point where I feel comfortable telling you more about this product because now we can ship it out as it's ordered. So today, this video is going to be about the NX Studio monitor. We're going to talk about the development of it, how it was made, and how it compares, and what the applications are for this type of a speaker. So let's go back to the NX and NX-Treme models. And over my shoulder here, we got an NX-Treme. The NX-Treme and NX models are full open baffle speakers, top to bottom. It uses our planar magnetic tweeter in the center in a waveguide, which allows it to play down really low. Huge advantage, by the way. It's open front to back. And the sound of it, that tweeter in an open baffle, is just in a whole nother level when you go open baffle. It's real music in your room. Like the hit of a cymbal radiates in both directions, and it gives you the feel and the sound as if there's a real cymbal right there in the room with you, not like there's a cymbal playing at you from the speaker. It's very transparent, and it really recreates this three-dimensional field. The woofers are very special also. The woofers, what we call the NQ models, were pretty much a cost no object design, where I worked with our manufacturer to develop a woofer that was the best for this application in all areas. Big 44 millimeter voice coil. We did neo magnets. We did neo magnets with ceramic magnets and a push pull. We've got a new ceramic magnet design on that thing. I mean, it went through a lot of development. Copper shorting rings, all copper motor structure, polymer chassis, you name it. Smooth response. Needs very few parts, and it has a beautiful sound. The mid-range of these drivers are my favorite of any driver we've ever worked with, or even that I've ever listened to. And when you put it in an open baffle, it's even more transparent and open. So we had that sound, and it was killing it. It's my favorite speaker that I've ever heard. And that's really saying a lot. I mean, I don't say that lightly just because it's something that I designed. It really is that good. And most of our customers and people who come here and they hear it agree wholeheartedly that it's one of the best, if not the best, especially when you factor in the money. Because you can buy it as a kit and build it for fractions of the cost of anything it's even close to comparing to. However, big 7-foot speaker like this NX-Treme here is not the right speaker for every application. I have a lot of applications where the rooms are small, or I have people now who, instead of going to a big studio and having a recording done, lots of musicians now are making their own recordings. They're doing digital recording, they're mastering it themselves, and they need a good monitor in order to hear exactly what they're doing. So I felt like there was a space there, and I wanted to figure out how to take this level of performance and bring it down into that application. So I was discouraged about it for a while because I knew as soon as you took that tweeter and put it in an enclosure that it was going to lose some of that openness, some of that airiness and that layering that you get when you have all those spatial cues so intact and so within the room with you. So I started doing a lot of development and testing and measuring and trying to come up with different ideas and ways that I could make this thing work. And I came up with some ideas, and one thing, of course, leads to another, and it led to this model being as you see it here, with the Neo tweeter and an 8-ohm version of the NQ woofer. What's special about this is the way we loaded the tweeter, and I'm going to show you kind of on this one here. There is a shelf, I'll say, or a divider between the woofer and the tweeter, and it goes like this. It goes from the back of the box in an angle like this, and then we put some damping material in there with it, and the tweeter is open to the top of the cabinet. And I've got one here that was one of my originals, and I'm going to pop this thing open, and I'm going to show you the inside of it and let you see what I'm talking about. If you look at the speaker, and I'm going to tip it down here. I'm sorry, got in front of the microphone. Tip this thing down where you can see it, and I'm going to spin this thing around and let you see it from the other side here. The whole top of this thing is open. But the way this thing is angled, what it's doing is it's absorbing the back wave that would radiate straight into the wall. You know, when I first tried to test some of this stuff, I knew that if I just stood this baffle up and had nothing above it, the rear output of the tweeter would just reflect right off of the wall and ruin everything. And you wouldn't be able to use it in a room where you need a close wall placement. You wouldn't be able to use it for mixing and mastering, because typically you've got it in a studio or on a wall to where there's an immediate reflection, and that would ruin everything. So I needed to figure out a way to absorb the direct back wave but still leave the whole top of the speaker open, and this worked out super. I mean, really well. The sound of it is still just like it's playing in an open baffle. You still get a lot of this layering and a lot of these spatial cues, I call them, which indicate space and distance between things that you can get from this speaker that you just can't get from any other speaker. And even when you have it up close to a wall, there's still a lot of soundstage elements there and layering there within the soundstage that you just are not going to get out of any other speaker. And the quality of everything is phenomenal. It sounds like a mini NX-Treme or NX-Treme. And it is perfect for these small rooms and for mastering and mixing. I guarantee you there's a lot of guys out there that are mixing on studio monitors, especially those cheap powered monitors, that you can listen to what you're mixing and then play it back on these speakers, and you'll notice a whole bunch of things that you're never even going to hear in a lot of those mixing speakers. You're just not going to be able to hear that level of resolution and detail and the subtle nuances and the differences that exist there. And this speaker really reveals it. So we nailed it on application. Let's look at some measurements, let you guys see just how these measure. Here's an on-axis response, really accurate, really smooth. Frequency response showing the tweeter and the woofer independently. You can see it crosses about 1400 hertz. Tweeter rolls off really well down there, no issues at all. Looking at a difference between being on the tweeter axis and being on the woofer axis, which could be common if you're in a studio and you've got them up above you a little bit mixing, almost no difference at all in the response. Let's look at a horizontal off axis. You can see it drops off evenly in the horizontal and in the vertical. Look at the vertical off axis. This is going up 4 inches at a time, even at 1 meter and going up that high in front of it. Still hardly any difference in the response. Spectral decay, super clean. I mean, if you want to know how a speaker sounds, look at the spectral decay. This is it. That thing just drops off immediately. There's no ringing, no stored energy, nothing. Plays and it stops. It's just ideal in that application. Impedance is an easy load. You can see it dips down to about 6.14 ohms. That's it. It's easy to drive with anything. In an application where they're sitting right in front of you, you may not need more than 2 or 3 watts, a little 10-watt chip amp, a little tube amp, you name it. You can drive these things with virtually anything. And when you've set these up in a room, you could put a little more power on them if you'd like. They'll handle power just fine. If you're going to really beat on these things really hard, we recommend that you use an inline filter on your amp, roll the bottom end off of them, and then you can really get some high output levels out of them. We do that here. We play them with the big servo subs on either side and just filter off the first octave, and then you can really put a lot of power on them if you need to. Let's talk a little bit more about how they sound in comparison to other speakers. Now, these haven't been out a lot. There's not a ton of feedback on this stuff. I haven't released these to a bunch of reviewers or anything like that. But we do have models that have been reviewed by everybody, including our XLS Encore. You've seen lots of guys raving about our XLS Encore. That is our budget level little mini monitor, which is also used in a lot of home studios and things. And Jay reviewed them, compared them to some $9,000 mini monitors and different things like that, and they are in that conversation. I'm not going to go out and compare our stuff to some competitors' products, but I will give you an idea compared to things that I've done in the past and kind of where this stuff fits in, and compare products within our own product lines. That being said, I did the design work for the Usher BE718 quite some time ago. Those speakers were sent out to every reviewer out there, or every magazine out there. They won awards at every magazine, the highest awards at every magazine, and they were kind of held as one of the best sounding mini monitors for under 10 grand. And they sold for $2,695, so $2,700. They were considered the bargain of bargains. Our XLS Encore is right there in that same conversation with the Usher BE718s. It's really close. You could say I like one a little more this way, one a little more that way. The imaging is better, and the Encores, the Usher speakers bottom end plays a little lower. But it's a give and take situation. And I'd say speakers performing along that lines, I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10 are about a 5. And I'd say the studio monitors are at about a 9. That's how much disparity there is between our studio monitor and our XLS Encore. So they really are at that performance level. And I encourage you guys, if you get a chance to listen to some, you're always welcome to come down here to GR Research and give them a listen if that's something you're interested in. Price-wise on these things, you can order the kit right off of our website, and that's the kit with no cabinets or anything. It's $1,020 for the complete kit, and that's all the best parts. That's the drivers that you see here. That's 2 connectors. That's all the wiring. That's everything you need to build these things out. And you will need the CNC cut front baffles for these. You will absolutely have to have the baffles. And you can order just baffles only, also right there from our site. You can order an MDF. You can order them in various finishes of hardwood like walnut or maple. And very few speakers out there would I say you can use solid hardwood on, because hardwood tends to be more resonant and it's not a good material to use. But in this case, these baffles are 1.5 inches thick, which is pretty solid because the waveguide is milled straight into them and mounts from the back side. So they're plenty thick, and once you remove this material from them, they're pretty much just a frame. There's very little material below the woofer, so there's not much left to resonate. So we can send out some really pretty front baffles. If you want a complete flat pack, Jay, who makes all the flat packs for our NX and NX-Tremes, has this thing programmed and ready to spit out flat packs. You can order those from him complete and build the whole thing, or you can order just the baffles from us and you can use the plans to build the back half of the box. The kit with the most expensive front baffle, which is solid walnut, is $1,245. And you can do the whole thing yourself. Or you can order finished cabinets from us. If you want to go on our website and check those prices for finished cabinets, or a fully assembled pair ready to play, and we can send them out to you that way. This one is one that was built with Jay's flat packs. There's dual sets of tube connectors on the back because we use this one to mount crossovers external. This pair belongs to one of my employees. It belongs to Hobbs. He got this flat pack from Jay. This is exactly what you'd get from him. And he veneered it in a quilted maple and stained it red, and it is gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. And did the front baffle in just a black gloss finish. We've got multiple networks around here for this one, and we swap those in and out. We can compare capacitors. We can compare different things, bypass caps, you name it. It's almost a test bed, and it's a perfect test bed for different electronics because the clarity is so good. Any change you do upstream, you hear it on these speakers. So that's what we're using this pair for in here right now. This pair here is some that I built originally, just first prototypes, and we're still using those. But yeah, you get all the good parts with it. I mean, I don't even see any reason to offer a budget version of it. Most of you guys playing at this level, you just want to order it with all the best parts anyway. So that's the way we send it out. So that's it in a nutshell. the NX Studio, my favorite stand-mounted speaker, and to me still the best sounding stand-mounted speaker that I've ever heard. And I encourage you guys to give it a listen if you can. Also, thanks for watching our videos. I really appreciate that. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and we'll see you guys in the next video.